It's the dictionary. Dictionary. It's the dictionary. Dictionary. It's the dictionary. Dictionary. It's the dictionary. It's the dictionary.
Hello, word nerds, and welcome to the dictionary hosted by me, Spencer. This is episode F65, and we just have a small handful of words in this episode because each one is a little long, especially one in particular. Okay. If you are watching the video, you can see that I have a nice shaven face. It's not clean shaven. I like to leave a little bit of a stubble. I think it makes me look a little bit better. Also, I don't ever use a razor. I use the clippers, so it's much easier and faster on me. And, my skin is just so sensitive. I can't have a razor cut it. It would get all cut up, because I would be very bad at it. What are we talking about? We're talking about the first word, which is ferry, F-E-R-R-Y. This is the first form. It is a verb, and it is from before the 12th century. So, verb, remember, it's the action of ferrying. Number 1A, to carry by boat over a body of water. And I think you probably know where that's coming from because the boat is called a ferry. Okay, 1B, to cross by a ferry. So you are ferrying things across the water when you put them on a ferry. And then also, if you are the one who is crossing on the ferry boat, you would be ferrying. Number 2A is to convey, as by aircraft or motor vehicle, from one place to another, and the synonym is transport. So convey, you are not conveying information, you are literally transporting things, moving from one over there to over there, and maybe back again. Aircraft or motor vehicle, so this is not on a body of water. This is something else, flying overhead, moving some stuff, or by a vehicle with an engine and wheels. You're still ferrying stuff. I think eventually we were like, why are we leaving this word just for things over water? We can use ferry for other modes of transportation. Number 2B is to fly an airplane from the factory or other shipping point to a designated delivery point or from one base to another. And there's no examples or anything, so I guess if you are just flying, you're ferrying? Is this talking about the plane itself? You're not transporting anything to get a shipping point to a designated delivery point or from one base to another. If you're flying, you're ferrying. That's all it is. Intransitive is to cross water in a boat. That's it. Now, do we have some etymology? We do. This is from, I think maybe the boat ferry came from the verb ferry, because this is from Old English ferryon, which means to carry or to convey. Akin to the Old English pharon, which means to go over there, send this stuff from over there to over here. And there's more at the word fare, F-A-R-E, because maybe you got to pay a fare to send the stuff by boat across the water. So yeah, I think it just came from ferry, the ferry verb. We're like, what do we call it when we want to move something from one landmass to another landmass over water possibly, or just anywhere from anywhere to anywhere? Well, let's call it ferry. Okay, my sound, I guess it's going to be because that's the sound of a ferry engine. We have the second form of ferry, which is a noun from the 15th century. Number 1, a place where persons or things are carried across a body of water in a boat. And an example of the body of water is a river. That's one. You got riverboat ferries. Yes. A place where persons or things are carried across a body. It's the place where they are carried in a boat. So is it the body of water is the ferry? Is the route the ferry? Is the boat the ferry? We know that's true. Number 2, the synonym is ferry boat, all one word, which is coming up. Number 3, a franchise or right to operate a ferry service across a body of water. So I guess if you want to run a ferry boat, you need a ferry. The franchise, you would have the franchise of running the boat or the right to operate the boat. Number 4, an organized service and route for flying airplanes, especially across a sea or continent for delivery to the user. So yeah, that one seems related to the last verb definition about just the plane, I guess, flying back and forth. Organized service and route for flying airplanes across a river, across a sea or continent. A sea or continent. So I guess it's not oceans? Okay. Ferry. Ferrying things from place to place. You make the sound. Now we have ferry boat. Noun from the 15th century. A boat used to ferry passengers, vehicles, or goods. I suspect many people have been on ferry boats. I've been on a few ferry boats. Let's see. I remember at least 2 times probably. I was on the ferry boats that went from Seattle to the islands to the west. I think I went at least once to the west and once back east. Maybe even on... No, I must have done it at least 3 times then. I was going to say, because I know that I drove around too. So I think we drove around and then we took the ferry back or something. You could put cars on there. That's a crazy thing. You could put cars on these ferry boats. We also took a ferry from England to some little town on the west coast of England, all the way over to Dublin, which is on the east coast of Ireland. And that was a fun ferry boat ride. We met a couple of people. I think they were dating. One was from Australia. One was from Italy, I think. No, sorry. One was from Italy who was working in Australia. And then the other one was, maybe she was Irish. I can't remember. But they were living in Dublin and they were coming back from a trip. And we had a very good time, and they gave us some whiskey, and then we ran into them like 1 or 2 days later, very randomly. It was very funny. Okay, those were fun ferry boat rides. Who runs the ferry boat? It's the ferryman. One word, noun from the 15th century. A person who operates a ferry. We have to remind ourselves that the word man used to just mean person. And so there's technically no genderized stuff here, but it's hard for us now in the 21st century to separate that. So we don't have a ferry woman. I think we just need ferry person, or we just need a whole other word instead of man, because one syllable is helpful. Ferry blank. Who's driving the ferry? It's the ferry blank. Blah 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 blah. We are done with ferries. Now we are moving on to a separate section about the word fertile and things related to that. This one says it's pronounced fertile. I suspect you could also say fertile if you like. That seems very specific and fancy. Fertile is an adjective from the 15th century. It's like all of these words. Almost all these words today are from the 15th century. Okay, so 1A for fertile is producing or bearing fruit in great quantities. Great quantities? I would think it would just be the ability to be able to produce or bear fruit. The synonym is productive. So if you're just producing a little bit of fruit, then you're not considered fertile. You are barely productive. I think this is mostly used when we're literally talking about things that bear fruits, such as a banana, apples, pears, other literal fruits. Maybe not so much people. And so if one of the trees is making lots of fruits, they're just popping off all over the place, then you would call that tree or that plant fertile. 1b, characterized by great resourcefulness of thought or imagination. And the synonym is inventive. As in the example, a fertile mind. Your mind is constantly making up stuff, being creative, imagining, inventing things. Lots of people in history who we know well probably had fertile minds because they were like always doing new stuff and being very creative and like, whoa, where did that come from? How did they think of that? Well, they got a fertile mind, so now you know who they are. Einstein probably had a fertile mind. I don't know if this mind is fertile. 1c is obsolete. The synonym is plentiful. Plentiful is not, is that obsolete? Now we have 2a1. Capable of sustaining abundant plant growth, and the example is fertile soil. So, yeah, you could see we could use fertile in different ways. Something that's producing fruit, something that is capable of sustaining plant growth. So the soil is fertile because you can put a seed in it and the soil is like, hey, I got all the stuff you need. I got all the nutrients. I'm lush and ploofy. I don't know what soil is supposed to be like, the fertile soil, but the soil is all the things that the plant needs, except for the sun and the water. But when the sun and the water come down, the soil is like, here you go. I'm going to put this in your roots. I'm going to do a real good job at it. That's how soil talks. And now we got 2a2. It's probably related. Affording abundant possibilities for growth or development. And the example, we are not talking about soil, but we are talking about something that can grow stuff because it has abundant possibilities for growth. The example is damp bathrooms are fertile ground for fungi. And that is from Consumer Reports. So I think it is a very good idea to have bathrooms that have, especially when there's a shower running, to have some ventilation. Maybe there's a fan in the ceiling, or you crack a window, something. Maybe put a fan on the floor to blow out the window if you don't have an exhaust fan. We don't have an exhaust fan, so sometimes we got to open the window and put a fan, get that steamy air out of there. Because if it just sits there, also maybe don't close the door because it's going to get all hot and steamy. I mean, maybe you like that, but you gotta get it out of there real quick because otherwise the fungi might grow. We have another example, a fertile area for research. Oh, you can grow and develop so much research at this lab or this place where there's a lot of fertile minds coming together to research stuff. 2b, capable of growing or developing. Okay, so now this is literally the thing that can grow itself. This is the example, a fertile egg. The egg is fertile because it has been kept warm by its mother or father, but I don't know how much the roosters are sitting on the eggs. And it's like, okay, the conditions are right for the egg to grow into a little cute, fluffy, yellow baby chick. 2c1, capable of producing fruit. So 1a was producing or bearing fruit, so this is like a tree that's fertile, and 2c1 is capable of producing fruit. See, this is the one that I was sort of thinking. It's like, are you literally able to make fruit? You are fertile. Am I literally able to grow a banana out of my ear? No. So I am not fertile because I cannot make fruit, but I make other things like bad jokes and bad songs. 2C2 is talking about another. What? Talking about another? Another what? The definition is containing pollen. Oh, it does not say another. My brain did some things. It's talking about anther, Anther. And if anther can contain pollen, then it is fertile. And I don't remember what anther is. I am so sorry. 2C3, developing spores or spore-bearing organs. I like to call those sparing organ. That didn't work. Developing spores or spore-bearing organs. So this is probably talking about fungi, I would suspect, because spores I know often come from fungi. 2D, capable of breeding or reproducing. This one is about humans and other things, but also humans. Because we don't make fruit, we don't create spores, we don't grow fungi, and we are not soil. So yes, just literally the ability to reproduce means it's fertile. Number 3, capable of being converted into fissionable material. Material that is able to be fissioned. That means split apart. When cells go through fission, they are splitting apart. When they go through fusion, they are combining. So, capable of being converted into fissionable material, we have an example, because I know you wanted one. We have fertile uranium-238. And are they using uranium-238 in nuclear power plants or something? I'm not sure, but it is fertile because it can be converted into fissionable material. Fertility is an adverb. Fertileness is a noun. And let's look at the etymology. Let's see. Oh, interesting. It is from the Latin fertilis, which is from ferre, which means to carry, which seems pretty similar to literally the ferry. It's carrying. Also, ferry means also to bear, like a bun in the oven. Being pregnant, you are bearing this thing, or the fungi is bearing the spores, holding them, creating them, releasing them out into the world. And there's more with the word bear, B-E-A-R. But now we have synonym information for fertile, because there are words that are similar, just a few. We have fertile, fecund, fruitful, and prolific, mean producing or capable of producing offspring or fruit. You are literally doing it right now, you're producing, or you just have the ability to make offspring. I have not created any offspring from my genetic material. I've had cats, but they don't count. And so, who knows if I am fertile, fecund, fruitful, or prolific? Fertile implies the power to produce in kind or to assist in reproduction and growth, as in fertile soil. But there's more. There's more. Applied figuratively, it suggests readiness of invention and development, as in a fertile imagination. A fertile imagination. We've been slowly getting through the show Scrubs. We are in the 8th season now. We just started it. There's one more season after this, and everybody in that show, the characters and also the creators, they have a very fertile imagination, because multiple times in every episode, one character always looks up to the left or the right, and then you see what's going on in their head. There's a whole scene about what's going on in their imagination. Okay, what else? Now we have fecund, Fecund. It emphasizes abundance or rapidity in bearing fruit or offspring, as in a fecund herd. Is this like a herd of cows, maybe? And so they are, or maybe a herd of bunnies. Everybody says that bunnies reproduced very quickly and fastly and rapidly. And so, I guess fecund is just all about making it fast. Fruitful adds to fertile and fecund the implication of desirable or useful results, as in fruitful research. That research was done, and we can really use it. We now have places that we can use this research, so it is fruitful. Those results were very useful. Thanks for doing that really good research at that fertile laboratory with your fertile imaginations, and you gave us some fruitful research. Prolific stresses rapidity of spreading or multiplying by or as if by natural reproduction. And the example is a prolific writer. I feel like this you can't call it a definition, it's just an explanation, but I don't know how accurate that was. It stresses rapidity of spread. Okay, maybe. I'm rethinking it. Rapidity of spreading or multiplying by or as if by natural reproduction. What do you mean by natural reproduction? The prolific writer isn't doing the sexy times to make their books, their stories, their writings. That I would call sex is natural reproduction. But there must be some specific definition of that. I don't get it. But I would say that I am a prolific podcaster because I am churning out episodes all the time. 1, 2, 3, 4, ready, set, go. Because at the time of recording, we're in the 1800s of episodes, over 1,800 episodes, and I believe episode 2,000, give or take, will be airing in probably the middle of February 2025. That would be 6 years. 6 years, 2,000 episodes. I would say that's pretty friggin' prolific. Okay, we are done with the word fertile. Good thing I remembered my sound effect. It's been a while. Now we have fertility, noun from the 15th century. Number 1, the quality or state of being fertile. And number 2, the birth rate of a population. What is the fertility of a population? Well, they're making 1,000 babies a day. That's very fertile. And there's only 2 people. What? How is that even possible? No, it's not possible. Okay, the quality or state of being fertile is fertility. So it's a noun, so you would have fertility if you have the quality of being fertile, you are living in a state of being fertile. That's it for that. The next word is fertilization. The words are at the bottom of the page, so I gotta move this book around. Fertilization is a noun from circa 1787, an act or process of making fertile. Oh, how do you make something fertile? Well, we got some sub-definitions. A, the application of fertilizer. Maybe if you want your plants to grow and your soil isn't very fertile, you could put some fertilizer on it. I know that there's like those bags of stuff that you can buy at the store, Miracle Grow, stuff like that. I don't know. And then also like isn't poop a fertilizer or some sort of organic thing, a compost maybe? You put it on your stuff. It's got all of those organic materials and nutrients and stuff. You put it on there. It's like, hey, I'm going to grow now. Thanks for that fertilizer. I'm going to do some fertilization. B1 is an act or process of fecundation, insemination, or pollination. And this is not used technically. So maybe it's the scientists who are not using this word, but the rest of us are talking about fertilization. So pollination, we're talking about the birds and the bees. The bees go around to the flowers with the pollen, and then they spread the pollen to the other flowers, and then they're like, oh, thanks, you pollinated me. Insemination, inseminating a cow with the bull semen. This is a very human-made thing that I'm not a big fan of. Fecundation. Well, we learned a little bit more about fecund many episodes ago, but also just a little bit ago in this episode. It emphasizes abundance and rapidity in bearing fruit or offspring. So lots and lots of stuff. Okay, so that was... Now we have the last definition for fertilization. Number B2, the process of union of two gametes whereby the somatic chromosome number is restored and the development of a new individual is initiated. Whoa, I think we're pretty specifically talking about a sperm and an egg coming together. The process of union of two gametes, I believe that those are called gametes, the sperm and the egg. They come together, the sperm breaks through the barrier of the egg, and then the egg is like, what is happening? The somatic chromosome number is restored. Does that mean, I think what it might mean is that never thought about this exactly, but so the sperm has one half of is it the one half of a DNA structure? One half of the chromosomes from the one parent, and the egg has half from that parent, that being that the egg came from, the other half of a DNA, and then they come together, and then the two pieces come together, and they're like, hey, we got all the chromosomes we need now. We can go through fertilization. We're ready to go. It's restored, and the development of a new individual is initiated. There's some crazy stuff that goes on when those two things come together and they go through fertilization, and then it's like, whoa, then all the cells start dividing and stuff. Feel like there's more to think about in terms of the DNA pieces coming together, the amount of chromosomes coming together. Was it like 23 pairs of chromosomes or something? Oh, all that stuff is so fascinating. Fertilization. Okay. Is there any additional etymology? No, there's not. So we're going to go on to one more word. Blah, 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 blah. It's the word, two words, fertilization membrane. Noun from 1931. A resistant membranous layer in eggs of many animals that forms following fertilization. It's after fertilization, by the thickening and separation of the vitelline membrane from the cell surface, and that prevents multiple fertilization. So I believe what this is saying is basically once the two gametes come together and they're like, hey, what's going on? Hey, let's get together and make a baby. They come together and the fertilization happens, and then is it the egg layer? Yeah, in eggs. So I think it's once the egg is fertilized, then there's this layer that grows, appears around it, says, no, sorry, no more sperm can come into this area. We are fertilized, so get out of here. We're done. It was hard enough for the sperm to get through the first layer, and then they got to try to get through a fertilization membrane? No way, Jose. So, it's like, no, we're done. We're done. What would happen? What would happen if another sperm got in there before this membrane was created? Is that even possible? Does it happen? Does science know about this? I don't know. Maybe I should look into that. How quickly does this membrane grow and appear? I don't know anything. But what I do know is that I'm going to pick a word of the episode. Words of the episode. Here we go. Today we had ferry, ferry, ferry boat, ferryman, fertile, fertility, fertilization, and fertilization membrane. Which one? Which one? I mean, there was a whole lot of stuff about just being fertile, just growing stuff. I don't know. I think it's just because it's long and fun. Fertilization membrane. When the sperm and the egg get together and do fertilization, then there becomes a fertilization membrane. Yeah. That's it. We can stop right there. All right. I will now tell you about a couple movies. On a plane, I was going on a... Which trip was this? A work trip, I think it was. I decided, because all 4 movies were there, I decided to watch The Bad Boys quadrilogy. I watched the first 3 on the first flight. This was an international trip. They all sort of blend together. What to say? I had never seen them before. They are super fun and very, very actiony, and in it probably at least twice in each movie there is that shot where the camera arcs around in slow motion and it's looking up at the two of them, and I think because Will Smith is taller, he's always in the background, and it's like, something serious just went down. When you get that shot, they're like, oh no, we got to go do some stuff now. And I very much enjoyed seeing those shots in every single movie multiple times. What else to say? They're just super fun and funny. And I really sort of enjoyed seeing the progress. I didn't have to wait 10 or 15 years in between each one. I saw them all in a very short period of time. And it was good times. Okay, who are they gonna make a 5th one? What are they even gonna call it? How old are these guys gonna be? I don't know. Okay, that's it. Thank you for checking out the show, and until next time, this is Spencer dispensing information. Goodbye. This is Robert.